Welcome to 11 Recaps. If you enjoy this summary, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. It really helps me keep bringing you engaging content. Ready for your support? Awesome, thank you. Let's dive in. A chilling new ice age grips Earth as a strange gateway emerges in its orbit, connecting to a distant solar system with a livable planet named Rhea. Probes reveal that a single year on Earth equates to 18 on Rhea. Desperate to escape the freezing famine, thousands of humans pass through the portal to Rhea, though many are left behind on the dying planet. As Earth's resources dwindle to nothing, a massive exodus begins, met with hostility from Rhea's settlers. Among the migrants is Bran Marshall, a stowaway hoping to reach Rhea. Nearing his goal, his ship comes under attack, stranding him and his AI companion, Edison, in an escape pod with dwindling air. With only hours of oxygen remaining, Edison detects a silent nearby vessel, the Nyssa, unresponsive to signals. Edison proposes a risky maneuver, a rapid burst of speed to reach it, though the G-forces could crush a human body. Bran, however, has a rare drug to counter the strain, requiring a direct injection into his heart. Left with no alternative, he triggers the countdown, and the pod latches onto the Nyssa. The brutal acceleration knocks Bran unconscious, his mind drifting to his final moments on Earth. He and his daughter Riley laying his wife, her mother, to rest near her grandfather's home. After the burial, they head back to the grandfather's house, where he's bidding farewell to a neighbor lamenting the barren fields and gnawing hunger. Feeling pity, the old man hands her a small stash of canned goods. Once she's gone, Bran warns his father-in-law against revealing their stockpile in such perilous times, urging him to escape before the neighbor spreads word. The old man stands firm, unwilling to leave. Back in the present, Bran stirs aboard the Nyssa and reactivates Edison. They explore the ship's compartments, quickly stumbling upon lifeless bodies strewn about. Bran muses aloud what could drive people to such violence in the vastness of space. He spots a wall plastered with crew photos, a reminder of the Reen's belief in their superiority over Earthlings. Moments later, he uncovers caches of food and medical supplies, only for Edison to alert him to spiking radiation levels. A woman suddenly appears, leveling a beam pistol at him. She accuses him of slaughtering the crew, but Bran protests, insisting he's only just arrived. Furious, she retorts that Reens have been sending aid to Earth, only to be betrayed. Bran dares her to shoot if she's so convinced, then lunges, shoving her aside and bolting before she can pull the trigger. The woman, intimately familiar with the ship's layout, catches Bran off guard in a narrow passageway, sending him sprawling to the floor. He pushes her back with a desperate shove and bolts away, narrowly reaching the medbay and securing the doors just as she lunges after him. Inside, Bran grabs a vial of medicine and spots a pod holding the preserved remains of a crew member. A nearby monitor flickers with the crew's records. He scrolls through, finding details about the aggressive woman, though the ship's mysterious fate remains elusive. As he studies the screen, the woman forces her way into the medbay. Bran ducks out of sight, waiting until she steps inside before striking her unconscious with a swift blow to the head. He slips out, but she stirs moments later, triggering the fire suppression system. Oxygen levels plummet as the compartments seal. Gasping, Bran locates an oxygen line and presses his face to it just as the woman reappears, now masked and undeterred. They clash again, and despite his fading strength, Bran overpowers her once more while Edison works to restore the airflow. Leaving her slumped on the ground, Bran staggers toward the bridge, intent on linking Edison with the ship's AI. But Edison abruptly reveals a complication. The Reens, this woman's people, despise artificial intelligence, holding it responsible for Earth's collapse. The ship has no AI. After nearly 6 centuries, Reen technology barely surpasses humanity's old standards. Undeterred, Edison taps into the ship's manual controls. The woman, revived and furious, hammers on the bridge door, shouting at Bran to stop, her voice sharp against the glowing panel he's about to touch. Bran hesitates, then hardens. He doesn't see why Reens should dictate who gets to settle on Rhea, a planet meant for all Earth's survivors. To him, their habit of blasting ships out of the sky and barring their own kin feels indefensible. Defiant, he presses the panel. A shrill alarm erupts, and the woman collapses to her knees, stunned that he went through with it. Edison chides Bran's reckless choice, predicting calamity. Instantly, gravity surges, pinning Bran to the deck. A memory flickers. Back on Earth, he fails to sway his father-in-law to flee with them. In that past moment, Bran trudges to a field and unearths a stash of cash, his hard-earned savings for his daughter's ticket to Rhea. Riley, his daughter, won't leave her family behind, though Bran and her grandfather feel too worn to uproot their lives. Then an alarm blares. Bran tells Riley to hide in a crate as he snatches a gun. Back in the present, he regains consciousness as Edison explains the grim truth. The ship's systems were sabotaged long ago. Navigation was wrecked, leaving it adrift, and Bran's activation of the engines has locked them on a doomed course. As they approach the beacon, the gravitational tug of a nearby planetoid shifts their path, sending them on a collision course with the refugee outpost, threatening the lives of countless individuals. Bran, overwhelmed, knows he can't tackle this crisis solo. But the moment he opens the hatch, a woman charges at him. He wrestles her into a seat, accusing her and the Reens of orchestrating this disaster to eliminate the refugees. She counters, pinning the blame on the Earthlings. She reveals that the Nisa was delivering supplies to the Earthlings' outpost when a routine check uncovered hidden cargo. While the investigation unfolded, she went to rest. The sound of shots jolted her awake. The captain, bleeding out, gasped that he'd disabled the ship's systems. She raced to the bridge to piece things together, only for Bran to storm in and derail everything. Bran doubles down, insisting he only boarded after the chaos erupted. He brings up the man in the medbay pod, Decker, she names him. Could he have slaughtered the crew before retreating there? The woman introduces herself as Osha. Bran spots a bracelet on her wrist, a mark often worn by convicts. Osha admits she's taken Earthling lives, and their heated exchange drags on until Edison, the AI, cuts in. If they're to survive, cooperation is their only shot. The ship, Edison warns, is hurtling through a swarm of space junk. Bran can't help but point out that this debris is the remnants of Earth vessels, blasted apart by Reen forces. Edison stifles the brewing spat. Osha's tasked with entering the engine bay, where a massive hull rupture awaits, to sever the engines and regain control. Meanwhile, Bran must flip the critical switch from within. Osha departs, tossing a scornful gesture at the Earthlings as she goes. Just then, Decker stirs, pulling himself from the medbay pod. Osha's midway through detaching the first engine when Bran radios a heads-up. Debris looms ahead, and the breach is worse than expected. They shift to the second engine, but Osha's oxygen tank empties. Bran revives her. Edison later briefs them. They'll need to synchronize their efforts, each handling an engine. Gripping the controls, they nudge the ship off its doomed trajectory, though the jolt rattles them hard. Another maneuver follows, and the G-forces pin them down. They stagger up, still not in the clear. On the third turn, Bran teeters on the edge of blacking out. Osha yanks his dislocated arm back into joint, and the agony sends him under. He's flung into a memory. Neighbors storming his father-in-law's home, pillaging their stores. The secrets the elderly man unveiled were shocking. The grandfather insists they depart immediately, but their neighbor refuses, citing his desperate situation. His family is famished, and his parents are no longer alive. Hoping to gain their compliance, the neighbor dispatches someone to locate Riley. A man pries open the crate where she's concealed, prompting the old man and Bran to unleash a hail of bullets, taking down the intruders. Riley bolts from her hiding spot, only to find the neighbor's wife wielding a gun and firing at her. Bran, though injured, manages to shoot the woman dead. In the present moment, Osha spots a picture of Riley, and Bran quietly confesses that he lost his daughter. To Bran's surprise, Osha reveals she too has suffered loss. Her family was taken from her. The Rhea authorities disapproved of their efforts to aid Earth's inhabitants. The complexities of interstellar politics elude her. Yet, not all Reens agree with the notion that Earthlings are dangerous and should be barred from passing through the gate. Bran admits he never wanted to abandon Earth, but circumstances forced his hand. He'd vowed to his daughter he'd stay alive. Edison interrupts, reminding them that survival hinges on their work. Bran's next task is to venture into the navigation bay, where he'll need to extract the charred circuit boards. The catch: the temperature there plummets to -40 degrees. Bran dons his protective gear, and Osha chuckles at how absurd he looks, reminiscing about Rhea's constant warmth. Earth, she muses, was once warm too. Gritting his teeth, Bran steps into the frigid bay and starts hunting for the damaged components. At the same time, Decker violently shatters a control switch. Osha catches sight of this and hurries into the passageway, stunned by his sabotage. especially since he's a fellow migrant. Decker admits he was coerced. The Reens abducted his children, threatening their lives unless he crippled the station. It's a tidy way to eliminate Earthlings, using one of their own. His orders include killing OSHA. As this unfolds, Bran completes his repairs and calls for OSHA to let him back aboard. But she's locked in a struggle for survival. Shivering uncontrollably, Bran searches for another way in. To slip through a narrow hatch, he sheds his bulky suit. With his strength fading, he pries open the vent and tumbles into the corridor. OSHA, having just subdued Decker, races to Bran's side and gets him into a medical pod. Edison confirms their success. Once the system restarts, the ship's functions will stabilize. Later, Bran awakens and climbs out of the pod. OSHA fills him in on Decker's revelations. Bran proposes they broadcast this evidence to the Reens, forcing their leaders to answer for their actions. But their mission isn't over yet. Meanwhile, Decker stirs back to consciousness. Edison alerts the crew to an imminent surge in G-forces, prompting Bran to rush to the storage hold for a vital medication. Meanwhile, OSHA grapples with the ship's faltering controls, realizing that severing one of the console's cables might restore functionality. The catch: Edison isn't sure which wire to cut, leaving them no choice but to test their luck. As OSHA tinkers with the system, Bran stumbles upon not just the medicine, but a massive explosive device in the hold. Racing back to the command deck, he's ambushed by Decker, who knocks him out cold. OSHA, now down to 2 cables, knows one powers the life support, an interruption system, which needs a 3-minute restart if disconnected. Holding her breath for that long seems impossible, but fate gives her a break. Decker, remorseful, pleads with Bran, claiming he's only trying to protect his loved ones. Just then, the G-forces spike again. Bran's mind reels back to the day he found Riley dying, her final act being to entrust him with Edison, her own creation. With her last breath, she begged him to escape Earth. Back in the chaos, Edison relays critical steps to OSHA, pleading with her to survive. Bran, now dosed with the serum, charges toward her, clashing with Decker in a brutal struggle before overpowering him. Exhausted, he drags himself to OSHA, delivering the G-force antidote just in time. A memory flickers: Riley's burial, her father pressing Bran to honor her dying wish. Maybe, he thought then, he could still make a difference. That was the moment he switched Edison on. Now, Edison reveals the ship's systems need a full reset to regain control, wiping its memory to default settings. Bran resists, but Edison insists it's the only way. Decker's recorded admission of guilt is already queued up in the system. Once it restarts, the truth about the government's actions will spill out. Perhaps that'll spark the change they need. Bran bids Edison farewell and triggers the reboot. The ship lurches, veering off its collision course with the station. Decker, with his final ounce of defiance, arms the bomb, and alarms blare across the bridge. OSHA steers toward the gate as Bran hauls the explosive to the airlock. But the plan falters, the airlock jams. Bran confesses he'll suit up and take the bomb into space himself. Moments later, OSHA watches an eruption light up the void. Grief hits her hard, until a tap on the viewport snaps her back, Bran, alive, clinging to the ship. Together, they stare at a frozen Earth, plotting repairs. 9 months later, the ship's systems are finally tuned. Nearly 15 years have ticked by on Rhea, and now they're headed back as a team. A transmission crackles through as they near Rhea, Earth's outpost, ecstatic to hear from the Nissa, a ship now mythic for reshaping humanity's path. Thank you for watching.